Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas. I must say, the literal meaning of the word Ashok means the one who is without grief. That means you are blessed to be happy. But today I'm extra happy because the gentleman who is joining me, with him, we will be talking about the wholesome aspect of life and how art and spirituality goes hand in hand. Let me have the pleasure of welcoming Nayan Kisnadwala ji. Nayan
जय
Mitra ji,
श्री
how are you?
हनुमान। नमस्ते जी, कैसे हो आप?
बिल्कुल आनंद है। आप कैसे हैं?
बिल्कुल ठीक-ठाक।
तो
मैं इंग्लिश में बोलता हूँ, यहाँ यूके में सब बोलते हैं जनरली, हाउ आर यू? बोलते ओके, नॉट बैड। एंड आई मेक इट अ पॉइंट टू से आई एम आउटस्टैंडिंग एवरी
हाँ,
मॉर्निंग whenever I greet people, whether at the gym or work, and they look at me like I'm a crazy guy. I said, it's all about your attitude to life. If you say you're not bad, you're not bad. If you say outstanding, your life becomes outstanding. So I
wonderful.
think it's all about the attitude which counts. And
I'm also reminded that I'm slightly parallel to you because I had someone who whenever I would call, he say, "How are you?" He'll say, "Busy, busy, busy," and then he will ask me, he will ask me, "How are you?" I used to say, "Easy, easy, easy." So with the easy approach towards life, what we make of life is what it becomes. I think that is what we learn. And since I have the opportunity of talking to you during the days when our viewers are watching it are observed as a Navaratri, and so let's talk about the significance of mother. And in your case, your guru also. Was in the female form. If I say when she was present, physical
yeah,
form, recollecting Guru Ma. So, talk to me about how being near her or what you learned from her helped you in shaping up your perception of life.
definitely. Female energy is Shakti, and without Shakti, Shiva is powerless. So in our heritage, Shakti has an elevated position in the world, in life and afterlife too. And I was very blessed not to have a wonderful mother, a wonderful sister. Now I have a wonderful wife and a wonderful daughter. As a spiritual teacher, I had Guruma, who was simply divine, and I became a disciple of her, but I really became a son for her, and in a detached manner. I was her spiritual son, her disciple. I became a trustee, and I would spend almost every Saturday at the temple while I was in New York, and just observe and learn from her. And I would do anything she asked me to do, and she would just just teach me in her own way, whether it's about Vedas or whether it's about living a life, or whether even if I'm going through a business challenge. And recently, I'm doing a series on LinkedIn on my experience as a CEO. And one of the chapters I wrote was about what I've learned from my spiritual teacher, besides other managers in my life, and how I apply it to the business world. And one thing Guruma, for example, taught me, which I apply in the business world, that every human being has a lot of great qualities and, of course, a few bad qualities. Your role as a leader is to ensure you recognize and bring out the good qualities and quietly work on the bad qualities. And so you get the best out of everyone who's around you. And I apply that in my personal life, in my professional life. And this is just one example of the teaching of Guruma. I would go with sometimes some silly questions to Guruma and saying, Guruma, how can we bring peace in the world given all the war going on, all the wars going on, almost every few years around the world? She said, just bring peace of mind to yourself first. And then if you are peace with yourself, you can try and influence and bring peace to everyone around you and to spiritual practice. And then you can become a catalyst for change in the world. But the first step is always, make sure you're at peace with yourself. So there's a couple of examples of what I've learned, not about necessarily Vedas, but learnings and teachings of Vedas, which I apply to my personal life and business life, which I've learned from Guru Ma. She also untapped my art and creativity.
So
Uh,
let me hold you here
yes,
for a second, then we'll move towards art. But you mentioned about being at peace with yourself, and I think each one of us aspires to be at peace with oneself, and then we try to figure out what way I'll be at peace and what is it that will remove this sense of satisfaction. So people keep on figuring it out, and in your case, or when you are under the guidance of a guru, it helps in connecting with yourself. So talk to me about, and now we'll come to the art side also. Was art also a way of connecting with inner harmony for you? How all that started?
absolutely. So growing up, I was great with numbers. I was very good in math and stats, and very good with art. Numbers became my career because I became a chartered accountant and did MBA in finance, and finance became my career in financial services. And art took a back burner, literally. And I never really thought of anything of art until I met Guruma again. She saw that in me, and she started encouraging me doing artistic things in the temple. And with that, I started picking up and restarted my art, career in a way, and started painting one picture at a time, one painting at a time, and eventually it's become a great hobby for me. And I now have exhibitions and I sell my art for charity. My art is all connected to spirituality. So I call it spiritual art, most of my art. And it's a meditation. With art, I'm in the zone. When I'm doing an art, piece of art, I'm in the zone. Nothing distracts me. I put on some nice music of Pandit Jasraj or Ratan Mohan Sharma, whom I really like, or any other classical artist from India, and I'm lost in my world of art, and I'm in peace with myself, and literally I believe God guides me because when I start a new piece, it's not planned. I just start with a blank piece of paper or a blank piece of canvas, have colors around me, and just do things. And it's fun process, and I enjoy doing it. And I also raise money for charities through the process. So it's a wonderful uh, passion I have.
Yeah,
Besides,
it's a great yagna, and this is your Instagram page, and let me
thank
just
you.
share some part of it. There is a wonderful play of colors, if I say that way. But it seems, let's say, this particular, oh, I can't show it complete big picture right now, but I think our viewers can gather the combination of colors that you have, and the contrast also uh, kind of conveys something. So,
Sure. So can you
so
put the first picture right above the flowers is a picture which is a great piece. Yeah. So that piece on the upper left next to Hanumanji is the quilt of life. I titled it Quilt of Life, and if you see that we go through different phases of life according to our heritage, our Vedas. We have the childhood, then we have our adulthood, and then we have post adulthood, and then finally the spiritual path. And so this journey is not always in a straight line, and you see a lot of curves in the picture, and the colors represent the four phases of life, literally. And so you start at the beginning at the center, and then move to the childhood, and then the adulthood, and then move to the spiritual side. And so the art I create is combination of learnings from our Vedas, spiritual teachings of Guruma, sacred geometry. I use a lot of sacred geometry in my artwork. Color therapy. So the colors have each color has a meaning, and numerology. So I combine all these aspects and take influence from nature basically to create my art pieces. And so being a math guy, finance guy, I have a lot of symmetry in my work, of course, and that's the geometry which comes into play. So, and if you see, nature is all sacred geometry. Yeah, you just don't observe it, you see it. But once you start analyzing nature, it's a perfect piece of geometry, in everything, whether it's a leaf of a flower, or the skies, or and the moon, of course. So that's my art. And what I try to see is also show work in process, in my artwork, so that people can learn. Saying it's easy, it's not difficult. If you do color by color, you just build the color and how the mood changes of the piece. So some pieces are for, depending on if I use shades of blues, for example, it's to calm you down. You put it in your bedroom, you put it in your children's room if your child is hyperactive, and to calm him down, literally. And in the living room, I generally like bright colors, red, orange, and bright colors, so it livens up the entire environment.
Yeah, let me stop you here. And of course, life is full of colors. We all actually, as a child, start learning about colors. Somebody showing us what is this color, and you said this is blue, this is green, etc. And some of us take more of interest in looking at the contrast of colors and sort of playing with colors. But most of the kids love to paint, take brush, and do whatever
Yeah.
if they are given that opportunity. So in your case, as you said, you started off late. So this, so there are two sides to anything, and just to simplify it, one is uh, the logistics, or knowing what type of color you are going to use, and uh, what kind of canvas would be sort of give you more comfort level, whether it's paper or so. On that front, did you pick up on your own, or was there somebody to hold your hand?
So I did take a few lessons from a art teacher, art professor in London, but I was learning 7th century oil painting from him, which I've not leveraged yet because I don't think I'm there yet. So I started with simpler colors, watercolors and gouache, charcoal and pastels, and then moved on to acrylics. I've done canvases and I've done paper, and I visit galleries, museums. I'm in good relations with a lot of great contemporary artists of India, and so I learn a lot from just watching and observing and talking to a lot of people. So they do definitely influence me. But I try to use the best quality canvas, best quality paper, so that it's long lasting, especially when I'm giving it for as a gift, or for someone buying it for giving a charitable contribution to uh, for a good cause. I want it to be long lasting. And what I tell people is, you need to connect with the art. If you buy an art piece of art, it should connect with your soul, and every time you look at it, you should it should bring a smile on your face. And so, it creates positive energy around you, and that's what I try to create, is each piece of art, with the colors, with the symmetry, with the sometimes asymmetry, creates that positive vibrations. So all about energy, and I learned this from Guruma. It's all about energy. So in our culture, in our the spiritual people usually wear white or orange, right? Why? White is a symbol of purity, and orange is a symbol of courage. So white and orange, Guruma used to wear both, and so it's about being pure and it's about being courageous. So that's, so you see Guruma there with orange. She became Parvatacharya, she converted from white to orange, basically. And so that's
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
realm of art.
So we all have our own say energy type, if I say as a layman, and then how art helps us in finding the sense of harmony. And there is a relationship between different art forms also, probably, and you will help us learn more about that. And I recollect the presence of Pandit Jasraj ji, Sangeet
Absolutely.
Markand ji,
Yep.
and this is Vedic heritage. The
Yeah.
Trustee ji, I was also present in this program. But the emphasis on classical music by Guru Ma, and your uh, interest, or being a painter, how do you see there is the overlap of space with respect to flow of consciousness between a painting and a music?
Yeah. So basically, music or even dance is also very spiritual in my nature, in my opinion. And music is universal. Music is divine. Music has no boundaries, no religion, and you can take music from all over the world. And if you close your eyes and listen to the music, you get into a different world, because music again creates vibrations, and if the vibrations connect with your soul, you get into oneness with God, basically. And the basis of Vedic music or Indian classical music is really a combination of pranayam. If you see a lot of vocalists, Pandit Jasraj, for example, is all about controlling your breath. Pranayam is the foundation for all Indian music, all vocalists of Indian origin, and elsewhere too. And all musical notes are really, in my opinion, mathematical. It's all about repeating beats in a different formation and connections, literally. And so I see a lot of connection between all forms of art. Even if dance, Kathak dance, the way they beat the feet on the stage is all about the beats, which, if you see, is very connected to the percussions or any other instrument too, or a vocalist. So they all connected with each other, and it's all about leveraging the art form which you like, which you are good at, or you want to learn, and leveraging it to, again, be one with God. You just have to forget yourself and dive into it. And there's no right or wrong. You can always improve, but you do it for your own happiness, your own satisfaction, and you do well, because there's, doing it for yourself. So
So, Nainji, generally, many people assume that mathematics is rigid because 2 plus 2 is going to be 4, whereas art gives you open space, or you have more scope to play with your imagination, and you come up with something which you don't know what it is. But in maths, most of it is already there. Let me take the example of this painting of yours.
yeah, yeah,
Now this uh, it has symmetry, of course, and probably the mathematics in some way plays some role here. So try to help me understand from your point of view, having a structure which is strictly to be followed, and having this a space where there's openness of your
yeah.
expression. How both of them gel?
Yeah, so that particular painting was influenced by a mandala which I had seen in a temple in a Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka, and I had taken a picture and then contemporized it, basically. And if you see, it's a lot of my painting has a circle, the bindu.
Hmm.
Okay, and this one was influenced by a painting I had seen in Dharamshala, when I had gone to try and see the Dalai Lama and the phoenixes. So this is quite abstract in a way. There's, but it includes, what I've tried to show is the five elements, and when the five elements in harmony, you have happiness. And so despite being abstract, I have represented the five elements in the painting with the Om in the center, which creates harmony in your life. Because if the five elements are in harmony around you, you are in harmony. And so, depending on the artwork, where I use a lot of sacred geometry and mathematics. And so, if you look at the first painting again, the mandala from Sri Lanka, it's the number of times you repeat a pattern, and then how many circles do you have in this painting. So I think I remember there are seven layers here, and seven is a spiritual number. And how many times you repeat a pattern. And so if you repeat, whether it's for 6 times, 8 times, so they're basically even numbers of how many times you repeat a pattern. So a circle represents Bindu. So here I represented nature, if you see in this painting, and I love roses. Roses, and in the middle painting, I've living in England. I was saying, what if we offer English roses to Baba when we do
Wow.
Sahasranamavali. And so that's what that represents. The Hanumanji have drawn, painted in the middle with gold. And then individually I've painted each rose, which are from
Offered to
the
God.
from the English.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
So,
go walk around in the
yeah. Then
season.
when one is talking to you, there's so much that one would love to hear from you. But looking at the time, I would like two things to be touched. And one is sometimes meditation, each one of us takes some meaning out of meditation, but just in two lines from layman's point of view. So you are in silence with yourself, and then some inspiration or some ideas or thoughts come, that is meditation. But while you are painting, that is also kind of meditation. So for you, how is your creative process? It is something that is already there which is being expressed, or it keeps on coming as you start painting?
It keeps on coming when I start painting, and it takes different directions many times. So I start with one concept and end up totally in a different concept. And this is all about Bindu, and this is about Bindu, or the Bindi, which is popularly known in India, is a sign. Different colors are used for different purposes by women all around India, but that painting represented the bindis for material growth. You put it on your third eye. Basically, the women put it on the third eye, or the priests, even men do it. And depending on the type of color you use, it signifies different things. And so Guruma used to put a saffron and combined with sandalwood, which calms you down when you put it on the third eye. And red color signifies, you're doing it for prosperity, for your household, for yourself, and for your household. So everything has a meaning, and that's the beauty of being a disciple of Guruma. She used to have sessions on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and we would have a Q&A session at the end of each pravachan, and we would ask any questions. The reason I got connected with Guruma and I became a disciple is because she was able to explain all our rituals in a very scientific manner. What is the meaning of bindi? Why do we ring a bell in the temple as we enter the temple? Why do we remove the shoes? Why are men and women segregated in a temple or place of worship? And so we keep asking whys, and Guruma was able to give us very scientific answers, very rational answers for each question we had, and that makes us believe more in the richness of our traditions, of our Vedas. And that's why I got connected with Gurma pretty quickly. But
Yeah, Nandi, she, I think, was a blessing for many people in different ways. And one, she promoted art forms, and she herself learned singing from Pandit Jasraji while she was very young, and her relationship with Jasraji continued. She used to treat him as elder brother, and there is this Pandit Jasraj Ji Auditorium also at Vedic Heritage.
right, right,
I also want to quickly mention that she uh, she sort of created a tradition of offering the opportunity to New Yorkers to sit up close with the legendary Indian classical musicians, and I'm glad that Vedic Heritage is continuing that tradition. So let's talk about this
sure.
upcoming event.
Sure. So Guruma brought Indian classical music and dance to the Western market for the first time about 40, 45 years ago. And I remember, she brought the best of the artists, and sometimes she would have only 10, 15 people in the auditorium, but that did not deter her. She kept going, and then eventually it became really popular. And we would have 5, 600, 800 people. Sometimes we do it in Manhattan, shows in Manhattan. But, her whole base was, how do we promote Indian classical music and dance with in the Western market, not just for the Westerners, but also for the Indian and the next generation Indians. And so we invite a lot of upcoming artists too, not just the maestros. And then we have a holy competition for the next generation living in New York tri-state area who are learning Indian classical music and dance, and they come and compete in our holy competition. So whole purpose was, how do we promote Indian classical music and dance in the Western market, in living in New York, and we don't forget our roots. And so we have continued the tradition very proudly. She was working very closely with Pandit Jasraji, and that's why the auditorium is named after him. And not to forget Sunita Buddhiraja, the late Sunita Buddhiraja, who brought all the was connected and brought all the artists to us. Now we have continued the tradition, we are trying different concepts now. We used to have a 2-day program. We're trying a 1-day program this time. We used to have many artists. This time we're having one big artist to see how things go. Because people were not satisfied. A big artist comes and shares the stage or the evening with other artists. Don't get to really
Enough time. Yeah.
enough time to do so. We got a lot of feedback from a lot of our people, devotees, and so we're trying to experiment. This time we have amazing artist Vidushi uh,
Kaushik.
Kaushikiji Chakrabarti, and at a young age, she's become absolutely very popular, and she's popularizing classical Indian music in the next generation in India and abroad. And it's going to be absolutely divine performance. And we are also renovating the temple because, again, Guruma started the temple, has created a great foundation for us, but the building is over 50 years old, requires a lot of work. And so we're trying to make a building better, safer, and more spiritual ashram, and make it available for all Indians of all communities, all professional associations to leverage the mandir and the assets we have in the mandir for their own purposes. We have an auditorium, we want to create a boardroom, we want to create classrooms for students who can be taught, and so on and so forth. And so we have the brick by brick program, and we are going to this is a free program, and so anyone can join us at the program who is going to contribute silently towards the temple, towards the brick by brick program, or we are going to have a fundraiser at the end of the program. And we're very fortunate that Sri Anil and Srimati Renu Jain have agreed to match every dollar we collect at the program, which will help us complete our project. And so we're going to put a fire alarm system, a elevator to go down. We're going to put a sprinkler system to make the temple safer. I've heard a lot of complaints through the years about the quality of a bathroom, so we're creating a whole new bathroom set of bathrooms on the right hand side of the temple. And so that it's a huge project, and huge project needs a lot of money. So we are doing, and Guruma used to be our key kind of person collecting funds, and now the responsibility is on the trust board.
So, Randy, as they say, time is money. So we all have that money with us, and we need to invest that carefully. And coming to a place like Vedic Heritage and participating in these kind of programs is also uplifting. And it was uplifting to have this wonderful interaction with you, Nanji, with lots and lots of good wishes. Once again, thanks. The way you have discovered the bridge between art and spiritual expressions for you. May our viewers get inspired and do their own bit in the medium that is of their liking, with lots and lots of good wishes for you as well as for our all our viewers. This is Ashok Vyas.
Thank you.
No.
Jai Shri Hanuman. Jai Shri Hanuman.